I'm John Wisnant, and I'm the Executive Director here at Paul J. Ciener Botanical Garden, located on 7 acres in the heart of historic downtown Kernersville. It's my pleasure to welcome you on this virtual tour of the garden where we hope to entice you and encourage you to come and see more of the beautiful site that is located on this property. Behind me, you will see our carriage house and welcome center, which has a 2,400 square foot ballroom, the site of many weddings, parties, and corporate events. Adjacent to that is a patio terrace, and along the way we'll meet our staff member Adrian Rothling, who's the curator of our garden and is also involved in our educational program designed for school-age children. She will take you on a tour of the tropical garden, our kitchen garden, and our cactus area, and explain to you how we use these areas to showcase plants and their adaptability to the environment in North Carolina. With 15 gardens already finished, we do still have plans for additional growth and future development of new garden spaces that highlight different types of gardening styles. Along the way, we'll point those out to you and maybe even talk about some ways you can become involved. Thank you.
Hi, and welcome to Paul J. Ciener Botanical Garden in downtown Kernersville. My name is Adrian, and I am the garden curator here. Are you ready to learn about plants? Are you ready to get inspired? Are you ready to take a virtual tour? Well, let's get started in our kitchen garden. Today you see some of the summer fruits, vegetables, and herbs. We have horseradish, we have blueberries, we have oreganos, and we have thyme. We also have these raised beds with different vegetables. And in 2016, we harvested and donated over 1,200 pounds of produce to those who need it the most. It is really important that we share our food, and more importantly, to teach children where fruits and vegetables come from. Most of you eat food from a can or from a bag, and you lose so much flavor, and you lose so many nutrients that are necessary for a healthier life. If you have the opportunity to grow your own food, all you need is containers, sunlight, and water, and you'll have a harvest that will last all summer long.
Let's pause here for a moment and take a look at a couple of specific design features located within the garden. Behind me, you'll notice a row of ginkgo trees being trained to grow specifically in the shape which forms a window effect. As visitors approach this windowed screen, they are intrigued to see what is around that corner. And placed adjacent to them is a cultivar of sweet gum that was designed and bred specifically to create that column effect.
In their native land, cacti and succulents grow slowly. That's because they only receive 10 inches of rainfall per year. They have hot summer days followed by cold summer nights. And they grow in these rock crevices where there's very little soil and very little nutrients. Some of these cacti and succulents take up to 100 years to grow and bloom. Do you know what another word is for 100 years? It is a century. So these plants are commonly known as century plants. So here is a century plant growing in North Carolina where it's actually setting flower in 10 years. So we have a 10-year-old plant. That's because in North Carolina we have 40 inches of rainfall per year. We have hot summer days and hot summer nights, and we have a lot more nutrients in our soils. So our century plant is growing and blooming in 10 years. At the end of the life cycle, this plant will actually produce thousands of seeds. We're going to gather all those seeds and we're going to start new babies. Do you want to see how big some of these babies will get? Wow, here's one of our babies right here. When we planted this, it was the size of a cat. Would you like to guess how old this plant is now? Keep guessing. It's actually only 9 years old. So far, we've seen our cactus and succulent gardens, and we learned how they adapt to this region of North Carolina. We also visited our kitchen garden. We saw amazing fruits, vegetables, and herbs. And the last garden on our tour is going to be the tropical garden. That's the garden we're going to show you next. Let's take a look. In In our tropical garden, we have plants with big, bold, colorful leaves. And they're big and bold because they need to take in as much sunlight as possible so they can be big by the end of the season. We also have plants called elephant ears. Now that doesn't mean we have elephants in our garden, it just means we have big, giant leaves in our garden. We also have bananas. Unfortunately, not the bananas you can eat in the grocery store, but we have banana plants that will produce little pink bananas that are going to be full of seed, and we'll take those seeds and we'll start new plants. Thank you for joining us on our virtual tour. We hope you learned a lot about plants today and you get inspired to build your own gardens at home. The gardens are always open daily, dawn until dusk. We'll see you in the gardens. Bye-bye.
Like I said before, we're a garden and we're still growing. Take, for example, our newly constructed performance space, the home and site of many future fun concerts and performance art. With 2 acres of woodland, we also have room for expansion there, to include perhaps a shade garden. And we also have plans on our master plan for a Japanese garden. Stay tuned. More information will come about how you can become involved in these exciting new projects as they develop. I hope you've enjoyed this virtual tour, and I invite you to visit the garden often. We're open 365 days a year from dawn until dusk, and I hope you can find your special spot in the garden. Thank you for coming along.